Too smooth that mud talking to have your ass in a wreck. Who's signing your check? Pussy better do what he says. We shutting down shows. Ain't gotta put no price in your head. Man, I'm coming for your tongue for all that shit that you said.
Gonna make the heat go boom, 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 boom. What it is, I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is. What the fuck it is, right? Another profile, another day, another dollar to make you holla. I get paid to do the wild thing. Trip out. We're going to get to another profile, and this one's a serious one. This guy right here, this individual, as you can tell by that thumbnail, during the 90s, all the way up until, I'd say, late 90s, man, this was the man. Okay, this was the man in the motorcycle world, in the outlaw biker world, in the 1% world. This man was well known. His name was out there. We're talking about Ruben Cavazos, okay? The former international president of the Mongols Motorcycle Club. Now, I don't like to speak on the Mongols Club too much and get into the intricacies and the details of what they have going on to present date. But I will say this guy played an intricate part into some of the demise of what they had going on at that time. Of course, they got it together as a righteous club does. They keep on pushing, man. The push is real. It's forever forward. But I wanted to profile Ruben Cavazos because he played an intricate part into the whole get down with the Mongols and the way they're looked at by society. But not only that, law enforcement, as well as other cliques, other factions, other organizations. So we're going to get to it. On December 28, 1956, Ruben Cavazos was born in the Highland Park area of LA, Los Angeles, right? For those of you that don't know. Okay. And this is a predominantly gang-infested area. And when I say infested area, I don't mean que la cucarachas. I mean there's a lot of gangs there, several different barrios. The makeup of the barrios is real. And this vato was born into that lifestyle, okay? He was born into that curriculum, right? If that fits. Anyways, he was born in LA. Okay, and looking around him as a young man, he grew up with several gang members and started to get influenced, and the indoctrination was real, and started to see it for what it was and realized that he wanted to become part of a gang. So he quickly joined a well-known barrio, probably one of the most respected barrios in Los Angeles, the Avenues gang. Yes, Big Doc Cavazos, Ruben was a part of the Avenues gang, so he considered himself a Southsider or a Sureño, which however you want to call it. I'm not speaking in prison terms. I know there's differences, but I'm saying Sasuke on the street, he considered himself a Sureño. Now, over time, getting involved in drugs, getting involved in small-time minor incarcerations and things that, you know, come with gangbanging. You know, if you're a gang member, you're out there from a big-time barrio like the Avenues, representing a well-established hood, you're going to get caught up, you know, and he never was no punk, man. This man handled his own, was known to have hands, was known to really conduct himself in a proper form or fashion, and always aspired for leadership. You know, he was a destined leader because he aspired to get there by any means necessary. However the wind blew, so Doc was going to get there, right? Now, a lot of people have asked me, and I've also questioned it, why did they call this man Doc? Somewhere over the meantime, in the in-between time of him being a gangbanger, he found the time to take the necessary courses in his life to put him in the hospital field, and he became working with x-rays, what is that called, radiology? So let's get something like that, a radiologist, or whatever the case may be. Anyways, he started to do x-rays and work for a local hospital in the LA area. And that is why later on in life, he got termed and deemed the name Doc, right? That's where the Doc comes from, like a doctor. So anyways, being from the Avenues gang and having the Sureñoism instilled in him, he wanted something a little bit more. Now, at the time, a new group had formed, or not formed, but they were around, but they started to come around a lot more. Being from the Montebello area of East LA, he noticed this group and was like, Sasuke, I wouldn't mind being them. Now, I don't know how the intricacies go into, you know, transitioning from being from one clique or one gang into, you know, a club, a motorcycle club. But I'm sure as time went on, people started to do it and people became accustomed to doing it. But as being a Southsider, he started to hang around with the Mongols Motorcycle Club. You know, they were predominantly in that area at this time, and everyone knew what they were about. You know, they were a 1%er outlaw motorcycle club that was really with the business. Of course, they carried themselves to a certain standard. They carried themselves very professional, and everything they did efficiently and righteous. You know, biker clubs, I don't call them biker gangs. I call them biker clubs, groups, organizations, for the most part, are pretty cool. You know, they're not out there to cause and stir up problems, but they ain't no punks. They ain't taking shit either. You know, they're not going to start no problems, but Sasuke, you ain't going to fuck with no biker. Real talk, man. They're about that, about it. They're about that business. So Ruben Cavazos joins them. And immediately, he aspires to become a leader, someone in the hierarchy. So he starts backdoor politicking. Now, anyone that doesn't understand what backdoor politicking means, it means he's going behind the backs of people and he's starting to get in this ear and that ear. And that's just the type of dirty character that Ruben Cavazos was. That was his nature. He always wanted to be the man. But of course, in order to be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo, right? But he decided that if for no other reason, he would challenge the authority of the leaders that were already in position because they were older, old-time fellows. They had the old-time biker rules, old-time, estilo. So he seen a future. You know, he wanted to aggressively take the reins so that way he could indoctrinate his stilo, his mindset, his agenda, what he wanted going on in this group. And he did. He was able to backdoor politic, to challenge some of the leadership. And somewhere along the lines, he started to gain control of the clubhouse. Okay? And he became the club president. Ultimately, he would become the international president, which is basically the spokesman for all clubhouses flying under that bandera, flying under that Mongol flag, or whatever club it might be, whether it be the Hells Angels, the Mongols, so on and so forth, outlaws. You know what it is. Anyway, so he becomes the international president. So now he's gaining supreme power. Basically, he's in control. He's the general. And he's, the captain of the ship. Other than Captain Hook. But it didn't stop there. See, he wanted to gain control and power so that way he could increase numbers with this club. And what he decided to do was to go back to his Sureño roots and start to recruit soldados from the Sureño gangs in the surrounding area. And not necessarily vatos that were actively functioning within, the Sureño gang lifestyle, but also vatos that were dropouts, people that were from the past. Okay, now I know politics are different in different groups. Your politics don't affect mine and mine won't affect yours. So whatever you had going on, if you fell out of favor, but you didn't tell on someone or whatever the case may be, a universal, a mishap or a universal fuck up, some people will give you a pass and say, hey, the doors are open over here. Come on, more than meets the eye. You can transform into it or whatever the case may be. But this was his rules and policies. He started to build numbers, started to accumulate numbers. Half of these guys that he recruited didn't even have motorcycles, let alone Harley Davidsons. Sasuke, they cruise in on the 6'4", like, Sasuke, can I be a Mongol? And it wasn't that easy, and I'm not saying that they were taking anyone in, but he chose to pull soldado and manpower from the Sureño recruiting pool. Okay, now this, of course, got the attention of the canales down south, the big boys, the ones, them letters, the vatos that are basically allegedly the organization that run down south. And they weren't having that. If you go recruit from a pool, from another organization's recruiting pool, there's going to be some repercussions for those actions. People are going to be feeling some type of way. But Ruben Cavazos stopped because he still was actively a gang member within the Avenues gang as well as the Mongol international president, that he could somehow correlate these two, that he could somehow come to some type of understanding where it would be all fine and dandy. And for a minute, the canales took, they took a look at it. They were going to see it for what it was worth. Until it started to become a problem, then Sasuke, however it unfolds, it unfolds. So what happened was, they started to take notice. These vatos down south, the letters, they started to take notice. And they said, okay, if you want to recruit from our recruiting pool, what's going to happen, homie, is we're going to need a little part of that pie. Okay, what people like to call taxes, and I'm not necessarily going to say, because I don't want to disrespect anyone here, that they were taxing them, but they approached them in a manner of, Sasuke, hey, we need our issue too. Separate ours from yours. Of course, Ruben Cavazos felt that this was frivolous, and he was not going to adhere to that, and he was not going to condone that within his club, and he was not going to pay no taxes. Charlie, homie, if it's on, then it's on. Let it be a war. Okay, so of course, bigger heads prevailed, and everyone kind of stepped back, and they're like, Sasuke, let the vatos get their mind right so they can shine right, because eventually what's going to happen, just like it does for any other group that's down south, oh, you going to pay, what the right? Or it's going to be ugly. So in 2004, what happened is there was a big meeting in the Basse Grande neighborhood between some Mongols and, of course, some Sureños. And everything was going cool, man. The peace was there. Nobody was really tripping. Of course, Doc felt the way he felt, and he continued to recruit extensively from the Sureño pool. There was a lot of Mexicanos joining the Mongols. And that's why people look at the Mongols as, man, that's a Mexican group. No, it's a predominantly Chicano, Mexicano group. There are different races. There are white boys. There are a few other different races, of course, involved. And you got different clubhouses in Australia, and they're in Germany, and they're fucking here, and they're there, and everywhere. But at the same time, they're pretty well known for that Montebello chapter for being an extensive offshoot of the Sureño gang, meaning there's a lot of past Sureños as well as current ones involved in the Mongols. Okay, now that's changed quite extensively over the years, but we're going to get to that. So Doc continued to recruit, and the Emmet was not happy with it. But of course, you know, they were willing to let bygones be bygones and see how it all played out. Eventually, they felt Doc would fall into the fold and separate some of that pie, because that's gay. They like cherry pie too with the little whipped cream. Orale, man, bang, bang. So in 2004, like I said, they met with the Bassett Grande neighborhood, a very well-known established neighborhood in LA as well. And they were having a party. Well, one of the members from Bassett Grande happened to notice that one of these Mongols, these vatos, these new recruits, was a dropout Sureño. Someone in bad standings with the organization. Someone who was greenlit, who was you're supposed to get on his head immediately, right? So he felt that if for no other reason, he should take it upon himself to handle business and get off where he was mad at. So he approached that individual, hit him up, and proceeded to fucking get off. Well, of course, you know, the Mongols not knowing exactly what's going on, they're going to back their brother's play. It's a brothership. It's a brotherhood. It's a motorcycle club. You don't never leave your brother stranded. You don't never leave your brother right there on the side of the road. You definitely don't leave your brother with people putting hands on him. So, of course, a melee breaks out. It's a pretty bad one, man. And one Mongol ends up getting killed, and several people were injured. Okay, now what you have is a very well-known gang, a very well-known organization, pretty hostile. They got some hostile feelings, and they got some aggression to get out. They're pretty upset with the Mongols at this time, but the Mongols weren't backing down. Ruben Cavazos said that if for no other reason, if you want to go to war, we'll take you to war. The smoke signals were out there. Everybody knew that the Mongols were not going to budge, and everybody knows, oh yes, they do, that the M is definitely not going anywhere, and they're never going to budge. That's just a fact. Allegedly, that's just the way it is, right? So there was a war. There was a war, and there was basically a green light put out on all Mongols in and out of prison. Now, you know, outside of prison, maybe they can carry themselves. Maybe they can conduct it in a form or fashion where they're handling their shit. They're on a full defensive stance. They're ready, full 60, ready to go. It is what it is. But when you're incarcerated, man, you already know who controls that and who has the numbers. And it was an ugly situation for several Mongols that went in with displaying Mongol tattoos. They were regulated to getting jumped on, getting involved in some things they definitely didn't want to be involved in. And this was all because Ruben Cavazos chose to go rogue. He chose to go against the grain. Now you ask yourself, well, does that make you a bad character because you don't want to adhere to a bigger organization's rules and policies? Charlie, man, but when you're out there pulling from their recruiting pool and out there conducting business down south, everybody knows you have to pay the piper. That's just the way it goes. That's part of life. If you want to be involved in criminal organizations and involved in crime and involved in doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, well, there are these bigger organizations that are going to say, Sasuke, if you're going to fucking do anything on our kayas, homie, you have to do that with our blessings and at our discretion. And that's just the way it is. Of course, the Mongols faction has grown bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we'll get to all that in a minute, how they have ended up. But at this time, Ruben Cavazos was ready for war. Okay, so in 2002, I believe, there was a big thing that happened, and everybody knows about it. It's talked about all over the internet between the Mongols and the Hells Angels. And it happened at the casino where there was a big melee, a big riot. Several individuals were injured. People got off. And if you look at the video, you can see Ruben Cavazos was right there on the forefront handling his business as a leader is supposed to. You lead by example, man. You don't never leave your soldados to handle business for you. You handle it and show them, hey, if I can get it, you can get it. It is what it is. I'm here in a leadership role. And for that, I commend him and respect him for doing that. You know, he definitely was handling his business with these Hells Angels. For those of you that don't know, of course, the Hells Angels, notoriously another very big, very old, very well-established and respected motorcycle club, are the bitter rivals of the Mongols due to that California rocker, which is displayed on the bottom of the Mongols. What do you call it? What do you call those? They're cut, right? They're chaleco. So, and that's neither here nor there. We're not going to get into the history of that and how they became bitter rivals. Let's just say, man, they didn't get along. Okay. And they happened to see each other. I think it was Laughlin, Nevada. There was a big biker rally going on, and of course they met up in a casino. Words got spoken, disrespects got thrown, and sabes que fists got thrown. Bullets started flying, pedazos started being used, and chairs were, so it was a biker war, right? And shit happened. But if you look at the video, Ruben Cavazos was on the forefront handling his business as he should. So his leadership qualities, where they may have been a little bit sneaky and he may have been a little diabolical and underhanding, at the same time, he was a true soldado, having that sureño spirit still instilled in him to handle his business and get off where his soldados needed him. I commend him for that. Okay. So now the Mongols have declared war with the Eme, and the Eme has declared war with the Mongols. And it was going on for an extensive amount of time. And what happened was some of these older heads, some of these older vatos from different clubs around the world, around the nation, decided that if for no other reason that this Ruben Cavazos guy, as well as his son, little Rubes Cavazos, and a lot of these other individuals were basically utilizing the club for their own benefit. Money was coming up missing. Whispers were being spoken about how Ruben was overstepping his authority and basically utilizing funds that are for the clubhouse for his own well-being, his own lavish lifestyle. And he just was doing some underhand things that they didn't agree with. They had always had a good relationship with the letters down south. They had already established that prior to him coming in and causing this friction. And they felt that for no other reason, it should go back to the old ways, or they should go out with that old and in with some new blood. And basically, he got put out bad in 2008. Now, being put out bad means, Sasuke, hey, we don't even talk anymore. We don't even know what we are. You about. Alright, get on, boys to men. He was out of there, man. They put him down on bended knees and left him where they left him. Okay, so now he's put out bad. Being put out bad of a club means your patches are pulled. Sasuke, you are no longer within the clubhouse. You are no longer part of that organization, part of that club. And the brothers, they don't want to beat you up. They couldn't put the Mac on you. The only thing they could do, they turned their back on you. They basically turned their back on you. You're shunned. You're no longer a product of that environment. You're no longer involved in the reindeer game, Sasuke. You are not a Mongol. Sorry, Ruben. See you later. Him, as well as his primo and his son, were considered basura, now trash. It's basically the equivalent of being deemed by a prison organization or a gang. You're deemed no good. He was put out bad, meaning nothing was going to happen to him. Vatos weren't going to get off where they were mad at, but at the same time, they were going to ignore anything that he had coming, and all power was stripped away. He was no longer a Mongol. So you would think that someone that lived that lifestyle, that was involved in that, would say, okay, Sasuke, I understand. I done fucked up. I overplayed my hand. I did a little too much. But Ruben Cavazos was different. See, he still had that criminal mind state and mentality. Okay? He still wanted to be involved. And of course, in 2008, the feds conducted something called Operation Black Rain. Okay? Let that sink in. You know what I mean? Purple rain, purple rain. No, it wasn't purple rain. Baboso said it's black rain, right? Black Rain was conducted, which was a federal government sting operation, and him, as well as little Rubes Cavazos, his son, and several other members were caught up in this. They say that they were distribution narcotics, allegedly, and involved in a lot of extortion and different things that had went on under the reign of Big Doc Cavazos. Of course, he was incarcerated and given a 20-year bid. His son was given a 14-year bid, and he now sits in federal prison contemplating where his life went wrong. Well, I'm going to tell you where it went wrong. Because the wind's blowing. Menudo. 2 reasons why it went wrong. 1, you overstepped and overplayed yourself when it came to power. He got drunk with power. When you get drunk with power within an organization, a clubhouse, a gang, Sasuke, your local fucking PTA meetings, nothing good's going to come of it. People are going to start to recognize that you're doing a little too much. You're showing favoritism and individualism. Of course, his vice president was his son, little Rubes Cavazos. That tells you right there. So, of course, you want your son to come up in the game. But, homie, this is not Sons of Anarchy. Jax is not going to be president, okay? That's just not the way it works out. But he was showing favoritism. And, of course, like I said, he was utilizing these funds that were coming from these rides and from different charity events that the group was having. The club was having, which is righteous, righteous for the community. They do a lot for their community, man. Shout outs and respects to the Mongols, the Mongol Club, the Mongol Motorcycle Club. Everyone looks at them in a bad light, but Sasuke, they're not bad individuals at all. They are hardworking 9-to-5ers that go out there and do everything that they have to do and be productive members of society, taxpayers. At the same time, man, they just want to ride with their brothers and live free. Ain't nothing wrong with that, okay? And they got back to that recently. They got back to that, of course. So Ruben Cavazos is sitting down in the federal prisons, and he starts to write books, and he's doing his thing. I, myself, had heard that if you look him up, and try to find him in an inmate locator, you cannot find him. And that could only be 1 or 2 reasons. 1 reason, so I was scared, he's just a hard man to find. Or 2, he's tucked away somewhere where nobody, they don't want you to find him. whatever the case may be, I'm not here to put a jacket on him. That's already been thrown out there that he was telling on people. Whatever the case may be, if that's the truth, if that's facts, then it is what it is. And I'll let you decide as a viewer. You could do your research. Google's free from what I heard, right? So trip out. Operation Black Rain happens, and the club decides, after all this chaos and all this animosity between themselves and the Vatos from down south, that they should vote a new president in who actually becomes the international president, Little Dave. We'll touch on a spill on him later on down the line. Of course, you know, I got to profile that individual. I've actually talked to him on the phone. I've actually talked to him face to face. You know what it is. You know what I mean? You already know how that went. But we'll get to that. But anyways, he started to take the club in a different direction. You know, a different direction. Like I said, get more organized, become 9-to-5ers, you know, get rid of that outlaw mentality and be more out there in society and be looked at as the way the club should be, respected, feared, yet at the same time, feared not because they're out there doing bad things, but feared because, man, you fear any man and you respect any man that's going to conduct himself in a certain way. You know, it's fear of the unknown. And the club started to get righteous and they started to do their thing. And of course, I'm not going to go into the intricacies and the details of what happened with the Vatos down south. Let's just say the war ended. There was a truce and something exchanged hands. To what degree of exchanging hands it did, I can't call it, man. That's neither here nor there and none of our business. Let's just say the Mongols are considered able to ride free. And that's what it is down south. Anyways, Ruben Cavazos, I thought was a very shady character. At the same time, man, wasn't no punk and had his views and had his ways to wiggle. You know, like I said, the moral of this story and this profile is when you get drunk with power, man, when you're in that leadership role, you have to conduct yourself with a whole lot of respect, a whole lot of humbleness, man. Because when you let it get to your head and you feel like you're the supreme power of one of the biggest motorcycle clubs in the world, you can come up short. You know, in this case, like I said, he caught that 20-year bid. His son caught 14. Other Vatos went down the chute, you know, because people believe that he spoke on them. And whatever the case may be, I know he wrote a book. Man, I guess I got to read that motherfucker and see what's up. I'm just going based on what I know. Anyways, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this profile. Ruben Cavazos, the former Outbad International President of the Mongol Club. Enjoyed the pictures that I displayed right here. It was what it was. Watch it over and over and over again because it's good. You already know what it is. Hope that you move fast with a purpose. I hope that you get everything that you want coming to you. Remember, at the end of the day, it's all about going out there and struggling and striving for your people, for your gente, and for those around you, man. If you're from a clubhouse, if you're from a motorcycle club, which I'm sure you are, a lot of people are going to watch this, man. Hey, respects to you, brother. Live free, ride free, and die free, man. You already know what it is. Man, on the gun. If you like this, like and subscribe. If you don't, you can hit that thumbs down, heavy as the head that wears the crown. There's a notification bell right there. It's going please hit that one time for your mind. The gun, you know what it is. Doc, why you wanna hide on me? Why you wanna hide?